Hello again. I'm Greg Harman from Second Thoughts East Yorkshire, and today I'm going to talk to you about optimism. It's not going to be easy, we're in unique times, so being upbeat is a challenge at best, but being optimistic will help you a lot. Optimism and pessimism are all down to perspective. I'm not motivated by making money, but I'll give you an example of perspective that's used in sales training just to show you how it makes a massive difference. Two shoe salesmen were dropped by parachute into two remote regions of a jungle with boxes of shoes. The first sent a radio message back to his company saying, "This is terrible. The people here don't have any money. They make their own clothes, but none of them wear shoes. I won't be able to sell a single pair." The second salesman sent a message back to the same employer saying, "This is wonderful. The people here make their own clothes and none of them wear shoes, so I'll trade all our shoes for ethnic clothing and we'll all come out on top. We'll all do well." See the difference? Life inflicts the same situations with setbacks and tragedies on everyone, optimists and pessimists, but the optimist weathers them better. Enough about sales, let's talk about people and why some view things optimistically and some view things pessimistically. Why are people different? It may be nature, it could be genetic. It may be nurture, how people are brought up. By nature, many people are pessimists. There are some careers that could arguably suit being that way inclined, maybe country and western songwriters or health and safety experts, for example. All joking aside though, looking at life in a downbeat way is necessary at times or for a profession, but not if it takes over your complete life. Some people display pessimism in the way they talk and even in the body language. How does it make you feel when you're engaging with someone who is a pessimist? Does it make you feel down as well? Chances are it probably does. The good news is that optimism can be learned. There are ways to lift your mood and join the glass half full club rather than seeing the glass half empty all the time. You've heard of the glass half full, half empty viewpoint, yeah? It's all down once again to perspective. If you're thirsty, the presence of water in the glass is positive. Paying more attention to the glass having water in it, rather than only being 50% full, is optimistic. An optimist disregards the fact that half the glass isn't filled, filtering out the cues that don't correspond with their positive outlook. Pessimists, however, do the exact opposite. They spend more time looking at unpleasant cues than optimistic people. The point to emphasise is that glass remains the same size with the same level of content for both. But which of the two types feels better and copes better? The optimist. We'll talk a little bit about control. An element which is very important in the optimism-pessimism balance is control. I've spoken about this before. Losing control or feeling like you have no control and you're being swept along with things cause high anxiety. Optimism is the belief that you can take an active role in controlling things like exam results or work performance and your environment in general. This is the case even when situations are very dire. In contrast, pessimists tend to feel hopeless and helpless about changing their relationships, their lives and so on. So how do we improve optimism? Psychologist Martin Seligman has a method he calls the 3 Ps, and they're pivotal in the optimism-pessimism balance. Now the 3 Ps are personalisation, pervasiveness and permanence. Personalisation can be thought of as an internal versus external issue and apportioning blame. Is it my fault? Is it life's circumstances? If something bad happens, pessimists will blame themselves, always. Optimists externalise instead. They realise that outside factors are at play and next time it will be better. Pervasiveness is overgeneralising, thinking that one single event impacts on every event. For example, if you weren't successful at an interview for a job, you feel you'll never be successful again, ever. And permanence is about whether we view a negative situation as just passing or whether it's lasting and unchangeable. A pessimistic explanation sounds something like, I couldn't exercise today, I'll always be really unfit, it's just who I am, it's how things are. A positive one may sound more like, I probably didn't walk so well today because my leg's currently hurting, but I'll be back on top soon. The important point here is that situations or circumstances are not totally fixed or unchangeable, they're all passing. Let's look at some positives even during these stark times, and I'll go through 7 for you. First one is community, the sense of community. So many people are coming together to help one another. Point number 2, strangers are saying hello as we take a little exercise, although whilst respecting social distancing, of course. Positive point 3, international relations are improving. China's sent respirators to the UK and Russia's sending them to the USA. Who would have thought that would happen? Positive point number 4. Cleaner air has perhaps been the single greatest positive effect of the lockdowns on the environment. Cities across the world have seen pollution levels plummet as people have spent less time in vehicles, aircraft, less time in offices and factories, and more time at home. Reductions in particulate matter and nitrogen dioxide have been registered in localities throughout the UK, with London and several other major cities all recording a dip in the presence of the harmful substances. Positive point number 5. In Venice, famous for its winding canals, water quality appears to have improved, and Italy's stringent coronavirus lockdown. Residents in the city have said that the waterways are benefiting from the lack of usual boat traffic brought on by the hordes of tourists who visit each year. Positive point number 5. Wildlife has taken the opportunity presented by a widespread absence from suburban streets and city centres to venture out and explore. You may have seen some of this on the internet. There have been a herd of goats taking over a Welsh seaside town. There have been deer in a Japanese city roaming the roads in search of food. The shift in behaviours has ranged between the beautiful and the downright bizarre. And finally, positive point number 7. The ozone layer is starting to repair. Although this is building on energy reduction principles, the current situation is helping the repair. There may be other positive things that you've seen in the news. If you've seen anything, let me know. We're in bleak times, but finding humour, positive stories, and looking for optimistic viewpoints will improve your mental well-being and equip you for dealing better with life. So how do you change the way that you think? If I say to you, don't think about zebras, you automatically think about zebras, don't you? You'll never change the way you think by concentrating on it all the time. It'll probably just make you feel on edge because it is on your mind all the time. The way to change perspective on life isn't to focus on it constantly, but do it as a 4-point reflection at the end of the day. So on an evening, perhaps sit with a cup of tea, maybe even a glass of wine. Not several bottles of wine, of course, but think about the day's events. What happened during the day that made you feel pessimistic? What was your first thought and how pessimistic was it? And scale it on 1 to 10, with 1 being really down and 10 being really positive and hopeful. Then look at how low it made you feel thinking like that on a scale of 1 to 10. Then think about it again now. How could you reframe the event to make it more optimistic? Think about those 2 salesmen with the shoes. However bleak the event was, there's always a way to view it in a more upbeat way. And then rescale that again. And how did thinking about it in a different manner make you feel after you've done that? Do this daily and you condition your responses to be more optimistic. It becomes habit being optimistic, and it really is an acquired habit. It's a learned skill. Thank you for watching this vlog. Please message me with your thoughts, and let's all keep helping each other to get through these testing times. Take care and good mental health.